We're here.
Episode 7.
Episode 7.
Just the two of us this time, innit?
Yeah, it's a strange one. It's Pork Andy, or Tom. He's got his own thing, and we'll speak about it a bit later, actually, with not just obviously doing a podcast, which would be amazing if it was just full-time and we didn't have to work, we didn't have to have real lives other than just doing this.
So good.
But obviously we've all got real lives. So last month we didn't do one at all. We put a post on there saying, we had a lot on. We had the Euros, so we had a lot to deal with on that.
Yeah.
And then we all had our own little life things as well on top of all that. And it happens, and I think that's something that, people should be able to take a break from stuff to deal with things. So that's something quite cool, actually.
Yeah.
And we're fortunately in that position where this is our podcast, we can do what we want, and the same at work. If we've got big things and things like that, we should be able to sort of go, help, I need a minute.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that businesses should do. But, what we wanted to talk about first, obviously we had that month off and what we were doing, and it was basically, 4 weeks of hell? Probably the best way to describe.
For me, the first week was good. And then
First week was
that,
yeah, of course, obviously, yeah. But football as a whole, we do it week in, week out. It's never a problem.
No.
But when it's something so big like the Euros,
Multiple times. I mean, it's like basically every single day.
It was, wasn't it? It was every single day for us, and it wasn't just England are playing. It's this team is playing.
Is
so
it 32 or 36 teams now?
I don't know.
I don't know if they changed it for this.
It's too many.
Yeah,
It's too many to play football. They should all just club together. I don't know. Rock, paper, scissors. Done. But yeah, so for us it was sort of like, it wasn't just the England games, it wasn't just the Scottish games, it wasn't just one or two. It was almost every team we had a big following for.
Well, City's diverse in it, so you know what? The Albanian team.
Yeah.
We're rammed for that.
Absolutely rammed.
Italy, Portugal as well.
Portugal was
so
mad.
many Portugal fans.
Yeah, which is great. It was awesome to have them there. And obviously for these guys, it was great because they had somewhere to go and watch it, where a lot of other pubs were only showing the England games or only showing the...
Yeah.
So we were showing it all, which was good. But it also meant the majority of us didn't really stop for almost a month.
No.
So it was almost every day, one of us we were on doing something. It was always football. And I'm not the biggest football fan, as in I don't like it at all.
Everyone knows.
Yeah,
everyone knows.
but having almost 4 weeks of football broke me.
Oh yeah,
I just couldn't anymore.
Just wait until the World Cup in 2
2
years' time. 2 years' time.
So yeah, for me it was obviously we had a lot going on all the time, so we had to sort of say, we can actually stop this, we can pause this, because that's something we'd love to do, but also it doesn't fit right now. No. So that was quite nice. But for the Euros, both myself, I know you and Tom, we're working pretty much every other day, or if not every day. How was that for you? Because normally we're given at least 2 days off a week, no matter what. And it's not as always intense as 1 minute it's empty, the next minute there's 300 people in your pub. And
I don't know, I think I'm kind of used to it at this point.
Yeah?
So I wasn't really fazed by it. I was kind of prepared.
Yeah. Were you physically and mentally prepared?
Mentally less so,
I
think. Because sometimes it did get quite overwhelming when the pub was just, there was times at England games where we had 10 people in before, and then half an hour later, the bar's worse than what it would be in a regular match day. Yeah. Because everyone's came in at the same time, and I've only got 2 hands. Yeah. We've only got 3 or 4 bartenders on. That's 8 hands. Yeah.
I think it's changed for a lot with, I always think about a million years ago, but where we used to, a game would be on at 8 o'clock, and at 4 o'clock you'd be busy. Yeah. 5 o'clock you'd be even busier, and it'd be a gradual thing.
I think the further the tournament went on, the more people came earlier, and the more people stayed. But again, that was partly due to the fact of our the way we were doing our bookings, and kind of how we arranged that as well. So people would have had to have come in earlier to then actually stay and sit and be able to watch the game if they didn't.
Years and years ago, we used to just remove all the tables, all the chairs. There'd be nothing in the pub, and it'd be a free-for-all. Get 400 odd people into a pub, sardine them in, and celebration would start. As soon as it started getting busy, people were chanting, people were getting hours before the game starts. And I think for me, and obviously from looking at that to now, I think the other thing is probably the cost of living. People can't afford to go, right, I'll have a day off work to then spend all day in a pub
and then have another day off work
because I feel terrible the next day.
Feel awful, yeah.
Whereas obviously years ago, it's probably a lot more affordable to do that, I guess. But I think for me, it was like you said, it was 1 minute you're empty, the next minute it's 3 deep at the bar. Yeah. You've got people queuing outside to get into the pub who haven't booked, trying to get in. You're trying to arrange everyone to sit down. It's almost like a military operation to get everyone where they should be before this game starts.
Yeah.
And then it's managing that. And especially with, I don't claim to know a lot about football, but the way England were playing, people weren't excited about it. So it was a very dull moment.
It was quite bad. Like, even as a Scotland fan, I felt sorry for them at times.
Yeah.
It was pretty depressing for them. Like, and I think, like, how they behave also affects us. So if they were playing brilliantly the entire thing, we would have been absolutely slammed the entire tournament. But I think because at the start as well, I think it was like the game after the group stages, so the round of 16, we were dead for that. We had like 3 or 4 too many.
Was it on a weird day as well?
I think it was on a...
Was it like on a Tuesday or a Thursday or something? It was like the 5 o'clock kickoff where everyone would have just finished work.
Yeah. I think, and it was absolutely dead.
Yeah. Because I think, again, it's where a lot of people years ago would have gone, I'll have the day off. I'll have half the day off.
Yeah.
But now, people can't afford to have the day off. No. It's like, I'll just watch it if I get home on time. Yeah. I finish work at 5.
I think I booked off all the Scotland games.
Yeah.
I think I ended up working 2 of them. So I only actually got to watch one.
Yeah. And that's the one was that a good one?
No, that was the Germany one where we lost 5-1.
So the worst one probably to watch.
To be fair, like, they were never busy for the Scotland games anyway. So,
no.
Like, I think the last one where it was Switzerland and... No, that was the last one. The second one, when it was Switzerland, I was basically standing there watching the entire game. Yeah. I'd let whoever was on doing most of the work. And I felt bad for them at the same time. I was like, nah, I actually want to watch the game. Yeah,
I think the whole Euros thing though, it's like it's a great thing for the people that obviously are really into football, and you've got everyone who supports a different team. So you've got, say, the whole of England, everyone supports a different team. Finally, all together, and come down to the pub or whatever it might be. I think the real sort of thing is that a lot of these people come once every week or and expect great service, great this, great that, but then everyone else behind that bar, like ourselves, has worked pretty much every single day that week. We're exhausted. We're tired. And I think a lot of it is, it's not really sung about. I mean, I went to a thing the other day and they were like, well done. Cool, thanks. It's not like I had a choice, but cool. Whereas every member of staff worked their butt off to make sure it was good. Yeah. We all did our absolute best. And you're working, I know it's only 3-ish hours of heavy work. But those 3 hours take it out of you and you're battered out.
The thing is, it's more than that though, because especially when they played well, there was you spent a good 2 hours trying to clean the pub. There was at one point we had to clean the fucking ceiling with a
mop.
A mop.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it was the penalties.
It was the penalties, we had to clear out the entire pub. Yeah. Because they all smashed glasses.
It was everywhere. Inches of beer everywhere. Yeah. And no one really sort of appreciates that, at least. I don't think that...
They all kicked off when we told them to get out.
Yeah. It's because I don't think the customers really understand, well, actually, the pub is covered in beer. It's covered in glass. You're going to slip over. You're going to hurt yourself. We need to make sure you're safe.
It is a health and
safety. We're not trying to ruin your day.
No.
But for the minute, you need to move out of the way so we can clean it. But no one really sort of, the big companies and everything else will say, well done, we did loads of money, whatever. What about all the staff that spent hours mopping a ceiling or sweeping up glass or, and all those sort of things? And I kind of feel that...
Did you not see we got a chocolate thing and that's...
We did, yeah. We got a box of chocolates, to share between the 15 members of staff. But, it's one of those, I suppose, if they've done it for every pub, it's a fairly big
sizable amount of money.
Yeah, so... But I just think that, it's a lot to ask a lot of people to do. And then it kind of feels that afterwards it's sort of, right, next thing. It's like, well, hang on, we've just
done that.
Yeah. And we were talking about earlier on, we were actually talking about this summer sort of time for us is a quiet time. A lot of businesses, it's a busy time, but for us, it happens to be a quiet time because we're very student led and, what we want to do. And it's all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, we were taking crazy money. Now we're on quiet times. But it's like, right, well, now you need to.
Guys.
I
think it was this Monday just gone had been the worst shift I've ever actually done.
Yeah.
I'd taken absolutely nothing the entire shift. I felt bad. I was like, I could have closed at like 8.
Oh, yeah. If it was an independent bar, it wouldn't be worth opening. I think a lot of people 100%. Would actually say, we shouldn't be open.
I stood there thinking, I am wasting my time right now. The maximum amount of people I had in that pub on Monday, apart from when it got really busy an hour before closing, was 9.
Yeah. And I think
they were all outside, so there was nobody actually.
Yeah, I had that the other week. But I think it's tough then, because obviously, now for the bar staff, things like that as well, we're saying there's no hours this week, or you've got one shift. I know you got loads last week, and the week before we needed you, but now, quiet time. So your wages are going to suck for this month. And that's, I think we spoke about how people manage that, because yes, they might have earned a bit of extra cash the month before, but then they may have spent that or whatever it is. And that's when we spoke about, how do people find help and stuff, and we've mentioned the licensed trade charity 100 times, but they're ready to help these sort of things, because 100%. The hours are so up and down at the moment for a lot of people. And I feel bad, because it's it's my responsibility to look after these people, but I've only been given X amount of money to spend on labour or whatever it might be. And I think a lot of businesses in the grand scheme of things are in this sort of boat at the moment, where they love their team, they want to look after their team, they want to give them everything they can possibly give them. But reality, the business doesn't allow that. And that could be your independent bars, are struggling at the moment, or any of the big companies that are like, well, we're technically probably struggling. So it's interesting to sort of see that. And I felt really bad when I posted the rate the other day, and I was like, guys, I'm really sorry, this is all I got. And that's when you start losing your good staff, or the staff that are reliant on a lot of hours, and they're really, really good. No, but you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And they could be like, well, actually, I can earn more money going somewhere else.
Yeah, I think.
And that's sort of...
That's kind of what's happening with me at the moment.
Yeah. And that's what you're looking at. And it's not... But I think for you, it's also...
I've done my time as well.
And I had exactly this premonition. You're like, weirdly, as I think we said before, you're like 10 years behind me of exactly what I did. And you're now looking at that and saying, well, actually, I can earn more money doing less hours. Less stress, hopefully.
Well, technically, for the moment, I'd be doing more, because there's no hours.
Yeah.
There hasn't been for a bit.
And you can go away and sort of, you got your Monday to Friday, your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You're not getting a message, or has this been done, has that been done, or you turn off as soon as you walk out the door.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think a lot of people in the hospitality industry, and it's the other way around almost, because I've always said anyone in an office should work in the hospitality industry. But I also think anyone in the hospitality should also maybe go and do a bit of the office work as well, to maybe experience both sides to make the right decision for themselves. And I think you're going to grow from it either way. You're going to go, this is for me, and you're going to go and smash it, or you're going to say, well, actually, this sucks, like I did. And I was like, I don't want to wear a shirt and shoes and trousers and a bit told by some bloke who drives around in a rented BMW that what to do. So you're going to find a way. You're going to discover whether you want it or not. But at the moment, and especially when I did it, at that time, it was I needed the money. I wanted the money.
I think for me, the time is now. If I don't do this now, then I won't ever get out. But it's more of just trying to see where I could go. So even if I don't like the job, that's if I get it. I haven't got it yet.
But if you do get
hash that out for a few years,
you can go further up and good money,
and also
routine. You'll learn a lot of sort of a different way of working, because obviously in the hospitality industry it's lax, it's quite relaxed, and it is. Whereas those sort of venues, those places you might be going, or from my experience anyway, is strict. It is strict. It is, you sign in at this time, you sign out at this time. If you do not sign in at that time, you're allowed late, and then you got a red mark. And you have to be prompt, you have to be on time, you have to be perfect, professional. When you're on the phones, or if you're talking to someone, or an email, or this, that, the other. Whereas, again, it's a lot different in the hospitality world. So I learned a lot of skills from that as well. So it's not, I never say I walked away with nothing from those. I learned a lot, and I learned for myself what I wanted as well. So I think it's one of those. I think everyone should probably do both. Maybe, depending on, obviously, I say that as if some people just never worked in hospitality, have never worked in an office. They've done uni, got a job they wanted, and they're done. But I think the normal folk, I suppose, would benefit both because you're going to learn a lot from there.
I think you'd understand more from both sides as well. I think definitely that I'm very in a hospitality headspace.
Yeah, you will be.
So I think kind of just taking a step back and then like try to sort myself out at the same time.
Yeah.
Have a stable routine, stable income, because that's the main.
Because that's the other thing, isn't it? You don't have within hospitality, unless you're, say within the pub or within industry, it's sort of near the top. You don't have a stable income.
No. I think the first month I came full time, I think I earned about $2,000. But then like the month before last, it was like just over $1,000.
Yeah.
So like that's really like a whole month's rent.
That's mad
difference.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not sustainable in the long run.
You need to be guaranteed X amount
every month.
You need to.
And I think that's why I also struggle with them managing finances.
Yeah. Because you never know what you're going to have.
A constant stream of a certain amount of money. When I have money, I will spend it because I don't know when I'm going to get that next.
And I think a lot of people within our industry absolutely have that issue.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. We'll lead on to sort of going out all the time and stuff like that, because you almost it's all part and parcel of it. So you finish shift, you have a beer or two, but then it could end up being, well, actually have a night out every other night, and then not only am I now not sure I'm getting paid, I'm spending half of it on beer, the rest of it on my rent, I've got nothing left. Or you go for 3 months where you've absolutely made loads of money and you're like, I've got loads left, and and it's very hard to plan your life. It's very hard to plan anything almost, because you haven't got that guaranteed income. You don't know if you're going to be able to pay your bills, or if you're going to pay your bills, you're going to have loads left, or those sort of things. And I think a lot of people within our industry do have that as another problem. Not only are you expected to be hospitable to people coming in and lovely and happy and really happy,
when you're worried if you're going to go back and the leg is still on, like
and reality is that could be only shift that week because the business is struggling, or there's no hours, and you're still supposed to be the best. Super smiley, super happy. And I think if you haven't got your basics right, because you can't, your time, your health, your bills covered, this, that, the other, how are you then expected to be the happiest person when someone comes through the door who maybe has got their stuff together, I guess, or whatever? And again, that kind of falls on the current climate of this industry, and it's very up and down. Something big's going on, the Euros. It's all hands on deck. We're working every day of the week. It's mental. Summer hits for us, empty, and you're like, oh, what do we do now? So I completely understand, and I think for you, potentially looking at doing something like that or going to do something, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, as I say, I did it. It's absolutely what I did. And you come back. If you come back, you've learned. If you come back, or you might not. You might actually find, moving away from hospitality is a great thing. And
it's not that I don't enjoy the job. Like,
I still would stand by. It's one of the best jobs you could ever have.
100%.
But it doesn't necessarily mean the best job in the world pays your bills. And that's the reality of it now. And I think a lot of businesses, and not mentioning places and stuff, but we saw that thing the other day on one of our forums, and offering an abysmal amount to run a business. And then we're like, at face value, you go, Jesus, like, no one's going to take that. No one in a million years is going to run that venue for that much money. It's just not possible.
Realistically, it was only like $2 or $3 over what I'm earning at the moment, and it's like
to run a venue. But then
by yourself.
When we were talking not long ago, we looked into the detail and we actually thought, well, percentage-wise of what that venue probably takes, we don't know the facts. Actually, the percentage to what they take to what they're offering isn't bad. If you look at a percentage side of things. So is it that is physically all that business can offer? And hopefully, if a manager went in, they can grow the business and make it better, or is it that business physically can't afford to have a general manager?
So really, should that business not be thinking whether it's sustainable to continue?
And I think it's not just, obviously that's just an example, but every other business is probably in that same boat. I mean, it's only been, obviously we don't know too many bits and pieces, but it's only been, within a month, I've heard of 2 or 3 venues in the Leicester closing down.
Well,
you know, but they haven't they? They've gone, and that means people who were working there have lost their jobs.
Yeah,
those people have not been paid.
I mean, my friends have been affected by that.
Yeah, exactly. You know. And you know, not to mention obviously who, what, when, and where, but it is again, there's people been physically who are affected no matter what. They're affected. Their wages and stuff, you know, whatever it might be, and
no, she can pay her kind of rent.
Yeah,
for the new bit she was moving into, so she was about to lose that.
And imagine, like, you know, if that was one venue, and then however many people might have been employed there, and then you've still got 3 or 4 others that are closing or struggling, and people are losing, and I get it, and I see. I wish I could change it myself. I wish in the venue what we are, I could change it. I can't, and all these independents are in the same boat, and that's when we really need to start thinking what. The government, I say council, the government, everyone else might need to probably do something soon. Otherwise, there won't be many left, and that is not necessarily a worry for me, but it's a thought in the back of my head where I think when I talk to a lot of customers, especially over the Euros, actually, when a lot of people coming out who don't normally come out, but they wanted that pub atmosphere. When I talk to them and say, "Oh, I've not seen you so long. What's been going on?" I was like, "Oh, I can't really justify coming out anymore. You know, it costs too much money. You know, and." They want to be in the venues, they want to be where we are, but it's too expensive for them to get out. It's too expensive for them to buy the drinks. It's too expensive for the food. Everyone is struggling again.
Yeah.
It's the summertime, so a lot of people with families are, you know, they're putting whatever money they've got aside for potentially a holiday, or you know, they've got the kids at home now. So, you know, if you really look down to, you know, all the single mums and dads are now having to cover lunches and breakfasts and whatever it might be, rather than maybe the school helping them with it. It all adds up. And again, it's the problem with something a lot bigger than we are.
Do you remember that campaign pre-COVID where it was like Save Our Pubs?
Oh, it was like when they half priced everything. Was that the food
It
one?
was like before COVID, so it was like basically like there was like a stat where there's like 11 local pubs shutting per day. And they were like trying to boost people going back into venues and stuff. And obviously it's very difficult to do when your prices are astronomically high.
Yeah.
Like, and like I believe this: the further south you go, the more expensive it is. So if I go home, I've probably said it before. I go home, I get a pint of Guinness. It's like £3.
Yeah.
I come down here, it's £5.25, £5.50.
Yeah.
I think I spent the most I've spent on a pint of Guinness in Leicester was about £6.50.
I think I was in London. The last time I bought a Guinness in London.
Yeah.
And it was me and my friend, and we bought 2. It was almost £7.25 a pint for Guinness. And
that's crazy.
You know, and I get it. You know, it seems like you're right. I think it does trickle down. But I just kind of think that it's going to get to a point sooner rather than later. You know, probably after Christmas, there's going to be a big thing where everyone's going to go. Or even coming up to Christmas, I fear this could be a weird Christmas for us because Christmas is normally everyone goes crazy, everyone's spending, and this year everything's gone up, everything's crazy, and I know it has been for the last couple of years, but I think
it's getting to the point where it's like
people aren't, and even businesses aren't going to necessarily justify. Oh, we'll get to take the whole team out for dinner. You know, it costs too much.
I think in the last 6 months, I've had more people complain about prices to me than I have in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and as I was saying with the whole Euros thing, there's all these people coming through I haven't seen for a while, and they've come up to me. Is that price right? I'm like, yeah. That's how much it has to be. Otherwise, I can't afford to pay the staff.
You're enough £7 for a pint, and you have to sit there and go, yeah.
I don't want it to be that.
I don't. Yeah,
but it has to be.
It has to
because we can't get what we want in. We can't pay the bills. We can't do this unless we do that. And I think and I do fear a lot of these, you know, pubs, bars, restaurants. You go through our city in Leicester, everything's closing. Everything's in. You know, the businesses, the you know, all that side of stuff. It's all closing, and it's a worry. It's a worry not just for.
I think the more worrying thing is that the businesses close. A month later, something new is there.
Yeah.
And then a month later, something's gone. Then a month later, something's new in there. There's a constant cycle of something turning up, and as quick as it comes,
it's gone.
It's gone.
And do you think that's people going, I'll give this a go. I'll put everything I've got into it. And then, unfortunately, it fails. Yeah. Because they put everything into it.
Most people who want to run a business or an independent business, you're putting, you know, you'll remortgage your house 30 times just to get the income, just to be able to because at the end of the day, majority of the time, it's somebody's dream to own a business.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah, 100%.
And then that's gone within a month,
yeah.
and you've crippled yourself.
If you really think about like the idea of a business, or imagine you always see it as a good thing. Like run a cafe, how amazing would that be? Get to make coffee all day, get to talk to people that come through, and then I was reading about this coffee shop in Leeds. Literally the other day, a friend sent it to me, and they've got to that point where they're having to cut back on their menus, stop getting things in delivered.
Yeah.
And now they're actually putting stuff like use it or lose it. We're at this point where we're going to have to close if people don't come in. People that come in love it because it's some of the best coffee in Leeds apparently, but no one's using it.
Every coffee place has.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like they're saying now. This is like, you know, a guy and a couple of mates or whatever running a business. So there's not a lot of outgoings cost wise first, but they're like, if you're not coming in, we're going to have to close, because they've already started closing earlier, opening up later.
As soon as you start doing that, that's the end game.
Yeah, because you've lost a chance to.
Yeah.
But I think, and then they're just doing everything they can to keep it going for as long as possible. But it will probably, unfortunately, end up having to go, because putting a post out there isn't going to change the fact that no one's got £5 a day to spend on coffee.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like something I've noticed recently, and I wasn't too sure about to sort of really talk about it too much, but as you know, I've stopped drinking completely. And one thing for me is that, and I'm not advising anyone to stop or anything like that, but I think I had not necessarily a negative sort of relationship with alcohol as such, because I think I was around it every day. It's almost the norm.
Yeah.
But I think for me, and as you know, I don't go out every day. I don't drink every day or anything like that. I didn't. But it was when I did go out, I'd go nuts. And it wasn't that I'd go, when I say go nuts, it wasn't like just fucking pouring beer all over myself like Stone Cold Steve Austin. But I mean, like, you know, you go out for 12, 13 hours at a go, drink for 12, 13 hours, and then wonder how I got home.
Yeah.
But I'd do that. I'd justify it again. Well, I only do it once every 4 months. So it's not that bad.
No, it's.
But actually, it is. It's abuse of alcohol and everything else, and actually ended up with an issue and ended up with like a hospital. Yeah. And you know, they treated me as if I was an alcoholic. This stuff they were asking me and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I haven't got a problem with alcohol. And they're like, yeah, you do. It's actually worse almost because you're just destroying yourself in 14 hours. Yeah. I'm like, oh, my bad. So binge drinking's the thing. I always thought it was just a sort of, you've gone for a few drinks, binge drinking.
Well, like, the thing is, like, the term binge drinking is so loose.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Because, like,
my understanding was not
in 2 hours
is binge
drinking. Yeah. But to everyone, that is normal.
That's like, a normal after work drinks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I've started drinking. One thing I've noticed is I have got more money in the account. I have got this, and I think that's the other thing. A lot of people are stopping going out, and maybe if they are continuing to drink, buying from Tesco.
Yeah, it's like £10 for a crate.
Yeah. Right. So the first thing I think a lot of people will stop when they're struggling is that social side of it, or is the going out. I don't think necessarily the social, but at least, especially nowadays when everyone's connected to everyone, I think it's more, and I think that's going to be a big thing as well, especially coming up to Christmas. Less celebrating and more like celebrating maybe at home or whatever it is, as opposed to going to the bars, going to restaurants, hiring out clubs for a big event at you know, one of your big companies, companies or whatever. But yeah, it's just a bit of a worry for me, and I've noticed the positives of it, money-wise, even if you just boil it down to that side of things, then surely that's what everyone else is going to start thinking. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a very odd one at the moment, and I think I am concerned about the future. I do say to people that, you know, I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next couple of years, but I think within our lifetime, you know, that £10 pint's going to exist easily. Oh, yeah. And I
reckon by 2028, man.
Should we put a bet?
Should we put a bet on?
Yeah. You're saying 2028.
So we're talking about bad habits, and we're both going to gamble. Yeah. Tenner bet
on. We'll tenner as a pint in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be a pint.
1 pint.
Okay. So, like, Yeah, it's just sort of, when I've been talking to a lot of people in and out and stuff, and weirdly we spoke to someone even just earlier on today, which was a bit of someone blast from the past. A chap I actually went to university with, bumped into him, and he was telling me how, and he's telling both of us how his life's changed since, the party never ended for him when he was at uni. He left, carried on, and obviously not to get too much, because obviously, I don't know what he wants people to know, but the party never stopped for him, and it actually got worse to the point where he was on his own, drinking, doing silly things, and it was just like, wow. I remember you from uni, you were always out, and you always liked the life of the party, and then that never stopped for you.
No.
Now it has. He was telling me about got some sort of support and whatnot, and he's doing very well now, thankfully. But yeah, it's kind of weird to think there's so much like that going on as well. Mm-hmm. But again, it's not people necessarily now going out, it's staying in their houses.
Staying in their houses and doing it instead.
Which is...
Yeah, it is. It's
odd.
It is odd.
In a weird, I think...
But to be fair, I've been there myself.
Yeah.
So I can't say it's odd, because...
Is that purely because you think it's to hide it more than anything, or is it to make it cheaper? Is it to make it more, at least then you're not being, if you get silly drunk or something, then if you do something silly, no one's going to see it? Why do you think that people...
It's a mix of all of that. So I think if you're a functioning addict or a functioning alcoholic, you will do things like that to kind of distance yourself from the fact that you are an addict.
Yeah.
So you're basically trying to, in your head, justify yourself and I'm not actually going to the club. I'm not doing
I'm not like everyone else going out every night.
3 or 4 grams of
something,
gear or something or something bad in the toilets all night. I'm just doing it in my room.
Yeah.
Which is it's different. And drinking as well, if you have an entire bottle of vodka or whatever and you drink that in one night, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's worse than binge. Well, that is binge drinking again.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a way. I think to do it at home is a way to allow that binge without doing it publicly.
Almost justify it.
Yeah, it's a way to justify it, I think.
I suppose some people you hear about we talk to some of our customers and they say, "Oh yeah, I'll only have a bottle of wine at night after work." Just a bottle.
Just a bottle.
Which to them doesn't seem like a lot.
No, but
actually is.
For some, I understand it now, because I've definitely been at points where I've done a lot more than I should have done.
Yeah.
Of other things as well.
Yeah.
You think about it logically, and customer says to you is right, so you can then tell about the person that says that, you kind of think they've got some issues.
Yeah. Or is it because the other side of it is the older generation, like my lot before me and everything else, we had such a different relationship with alcohol.
I think,
it was almost, it was cool to get smashed on a weekend or whatever.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit more, and definitely nowadays it's a bit more frowned upon.
I think there's a lot of change with the younger generation, and I say younger, 18. I don't know the gen, but whatever
Z
is it? Yeah, whatever it might be. But that sort of age difference at the moment, they've got a bit of a healthier aspect. They're healthier in theory because they're not out as much as the percentage wise of everyone going out when they're 18, 19 is a lot less, and you're not drinking like they used to be, and they're having a couple of beers or whatever.
When I was younger, it was always house parties.
Yeah.
So I say when I was younger, I'm
back in your day when you
back in day, I'm fucking 22. I think it's definitely changed over the past 5-10 years, let alone the last generation, even from when I was growing up to the kids that are growing up now.
Yeah,
it's definitely different again. I think in terms of, but I feel like it's kind of moving in the direction that we were going when we were younger. So it is more staying at home, doing all these things at a gaff instead of
going out
or sitting in the field, sitting in the park, whatever. Doing it, you'll do it in a gaff, just because I feel like I found it more shameful if I went out and did a lot of stuff.
And then get you're a mess, someone sees you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like I'd have my girlfriend at the time have to carry me back.
Yeah.
And she'd throw me onto the bed and leave me there, and that'd be me for 14 hours or whatever. And then for the next 3 days, I feel terrible.
Yeah. So at least if you're at home, you pass out yourself.
Exactly.
No one sees you.
Yeah.
Oh, I just don't feel too good today. That's
No,
I completely get that, because
like,
for me, it was when we go out. Majority of the time, we'd go out and get all of us. We'll get to that point, and we'd somehow manage to get home together. And so our relationship with alcohol was, let's get drunk. Let's get absolutely wrecked, because what else is there to do? And that's what we want to do. Whereas, the younger ones nowadays don't seem to have that mentality.
There's a bit more isolation in terms of...
Well, you say, and I've probably said this before, but, you walk around big groups of students and stuff. And I use this, I'm actually talking to a lot of people over the Euros, and I was saying to them, like, have you noticed, like, the younger generation, they're not even watching the football. They're sat there everywhere else, and they're still on their phones. And everyone else has got their phones in their pockets. They're watching the game. They're shouting abuse at the ref. They're, whatever it might be. The younger ones will all sit together, but they'd all be on their phones until they heard the crowd go, whoa, and then they go, and look back down again.
I feel like this is more of a generational thing than...
But that's bizarre to me. It's like
it's
going to the cinema and playing on your phone all night.
I get it to a point, but like... Yeah, well, I think I witnessed like somebody I was with like last week. She was in bed. She had her laptop on while the TV was on, while the phone was on, and even that for me was like, what are
you actually doing?
What are you actually doing? But like, I think it is different. I think if you guys didn't grow up with phones.
Well, we grew up with phones. Jesus Christ.
No. If you know what I mean, like I'm talking about like really, really young.
So when I was 13, I think, when I had my first phone.
Right. But like you think about some kids these days, they get the first phone when they're like 5.
Well, they've got tablets when they're kids.
Yeah,
you see mum and dad get
like
have a tablet.
Kid, that's insane these days.
Yeah.
And you can tell someone's like an
iPad kid. That's amazing. I like that. But yeah, but as I say, it's sort of, for me, it's bizarre because, okay, I get it if you just sat around with your mates and you're just playing on your phone for a sec, whatever, or looking at something up or whatever.
No, but there was people that just sat in there, didn't give a toss about the game. But
they sat there to say they were there.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost. And it's like years ago, you used to, I don't know if they do it now, but you used to tag yourself in places on Facebook. Yeah. Is that still a thing? I don't think it is it?
Only old people do.
Yeah, only old people do that.
Only old people do that.
But like years ago, you used to be like at this pub, at that pub, watching this, doing that, and everyone would be like, or whatever.
Or I'm in Santorini.
Yeah. But is it like, what do they do? Take a photo of on their TikTok and then, here for the England game, and then spend the rest of it on TikTok just scrolling through, looking at rubbish?
Probably, yeah.
So that's mad to me. I think that, I don't know.
Are we going into like a massive debate about social media and how it creates a further disconnect from society?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going into?
That's kind of how I feel, yeah. And I don't think... Oh, it's all right. We've got a little bit.
For that?
I mean, we probably do. I love this today because we've just gone all over the shop. I love it. But
it's what a podcast is.
Yeah.
It's what we were when we started anyway. We try to keep it more structured. But
we're never going to.
Sometimes it just works better.
Yeah, I agree.
Go off the handle.
But I think noticing it so much in those Euro games, because we had such a different generations of people come through. Mm-hmm. So we had like the people my age and a bit older.
Yeah.
All in England get up. England flags, kazoo things, England bucket hats, like nothing but England mattered.
Ones that we were meant to get and never got.
Hey?
Ones that we were meant to get.
Yeah, we'll forget about hats. Stupid anyway. But like, the England fans, you drew an English fan, that's what you draw, that person.
Yeah.
And then you had the other England fans that come in. They haven't bought into England tops. They haven't bought into all that jazz because why would they?
Yeah.
They've come down, sat down. I said they're on their phones or, taking selfies or, just there for the atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah.
And then waiting for that goal. And then all of a sudden the phone goes away. Cheers, the record. All the phone's out. Recording. Yeah, so I've had the best day ever. And then as soon as the celebrations have stopped, back on the phone, not doing it. And like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that I saw, obviously I know, other pubs and stuff, they probably do the same, but we have an app. Uh-huh. And you can order, obviously you order from the bar and someone will bring it up to you. Half the fun when I was, it was everyone goes to the bar And yeah, there's a bit of a queue.
You have a chat.
But you have a chat with the next person next to you, and I don't know anything about football, but I've worked in facing it, and they're like, oh, so and so's playing badly, or oh, you see that so and so, and everyone's proper like living the dream. Yeah. Whereas this time round, they were
all kind of stood there,
ordering the things. Yeah. So one of our guys was running the drinks to them, and then the other one they'd stand next to the bar. They wouldn't talk to the person next to them, or
if they were off the bar, there was not really any. There's no just kind of stare at
excitement. There was no. And I always, I used my previous experience from an old manager who absolutely smashed World Cups and everything else. And as I said, we got rid of all the things. We had 400 people in there. It was plastics only. And yes, beer went everywhere when they scored, and everyone was cheering, and every single person in that thing, there was 400 people, was wearing an England top.
Yeah.
Everyone. And I get that they're expensive and things like that, but everyone was behind them.
50 quid or something.
I don't think they were 150 quid back then.
No, but
probably like
nowadays
60.
they're like 100 quid.
I don't know how anyone... Yeah, and I get, why would you justify that for a month?
Yeah.
I get that. But the whole...
Just buy fakes off China on it. Just buy fakes off
China. Yeah, just get some off, what's it called, DHgate. Just get loads of fake stuff on there. But like... that's changed. And again, is that because the generation aren't that bothered? Do you think that they're not that fussed anymore? Is the spark gone for that side of stuff, as opposed to the older generation where it was absolutely everything? It was on TV. They lived and breathed it. Whereas now the younger ones, they're interested. They want England to do well, but it doesn't actually matter if they don't.
So I think now we're going to go back to 1980s England, where football hooliganism was.
Well, no.
Right. No, if you think about it, there's a generational change in attitude towards football.
Yeah.
And obviously there will always be people who are like
extreme fans,
or people that go over the top.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the case, because if his dad probably would have been.
So they've generationally
brought it down. But if you think about it as well, that like, through the past, like even like obviously football is a worldwide sport.
Yeah.
I think more recently in the last 20-30 years, it's been opened up to a wider audience.
Yeah.
So if you think before, if you went in the pub 20 years ago, it would just be men watching the football.
Yeah.
And I think even the final, I actually think there were more women in the pub than there were men.
I think it was, and that is in itself awesome.
Yeah,
I love that, because.
So I think that's why the atmosphere.
Do you think it's changed?
It's changed because of the attitude towards football by people as a whole. So football was just kind of a football fans thing.
Yeah.
Football is more of an everyone thing now.
Yeah, which is, I mean,
so like,
in itself is great.
You'll bring your missus, you'll bring the kids, you'll sit down, you'll watch it. So you won't. Maybe family if you were by yourself, you would have went. But you've got your family there.
Yeah, and you want to act well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
There's a change in attitude towards it because of how more inclusive the game actually is.
Do you think with the previous, like the Lionesses when they won, then that's brought a lot of people out and they've gone, well, actually, because that was massive. That was
it was big.
Thing.
It's the first time an England team has won a trophy in 50 years.
Yeah. So like
50,
and that
60.
almost, I mean that I remember that tournament really well, because the company working for then was very, let's really promote this, we want people to feel safe in the pubs, and we do, like, that's amazing. And it's great to see that side of things, but it's interesting how that's then obviously probably positively spilled out into the other games, and people like girls especially and anyone else feel comfortable to come out and watch that. And it's not just full of how I imagine an England fan, just like, I love England, like Kansas Stella, you know what I mean? Like that's an England fan, isn't it? But you know what I mean? Like that's not there anymore. Whereas, but you know what I mean? It's like 10 plus years ago, maybe longer, when I was first, and that was an England fan. And they'd have like an England tattoo on his arm, and that sort of person. Whereas now, those people still exist and those people still come through, and they are, almost some of them, the life and soul of that there and then, because they're getting behind it and getting excited. But the rest of the people aren't. As I said, they're not wearing even England shirts. They're not wrapping an England flag around them. Yeah. They're not doing that. And that was a big thing I noticed this time around. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I think it was a lot. the atmosphere was different, probably because of the amount of the different types of people that now feel acceptable or accepted to come through and watch.
To a pub and watch it.
Those people still existed before, but they didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah, they'd sit at home.
So we've actually created a better
environment.
That's interesting, actually.
That's one way to look at it. I think that's the way that I the one that said it. So
yeah,
that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That it's a far more inclusive environment.
And then now it's not centered on beer, because that was.
If you think about on that day when we had the penalties, if that was just men in the pub and you did what you'd done before, where you've pulled everything away and everyone's standing there, how more fucked it would have been. Than it was. Like, because in reality, it was only about.
Yeah, well, it wasn't mad.
5 or 6 glasses.
Yeah, it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're right. I think then it would have been nuts.
Yeah.
And I think me remembering it was nuts, and that's almost why I have a bit of a negative spin on it, because I've always gone,
this isn't what it used to be. That kind of
well, no. Like, I remember how bad it was, but for me it was because I was the one cleaning it up. But I remember how bad it was when I first started in pubs and stuff like that, and I didn't dread it, but I disliked it. And I think that's what's really pushed my dislike towards football in general, because it's the people that I associated it with.
The game's changed.
Yeah, in a really positive way. Oh, that's nice.
We've now turned into a sports podcast.
Yeah, I love this. But but this is the chat. This is we always said
I've opened your mind.
Yeah, you have actually. I'm a massive football fan. But no, like this is what we always said when we first started this. This is our sort of Saturday night after work drink type chat.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the idea of it. And I think
not that we're replacing that chat with this, because we still have it.
But. Well, I don't. I behave. I have a tonic water now. I'm so raw.
Well, yeah,
I have a tonic water. But the whole thing of it, you're right. I think that's actually a really good way of looking at it. But again, with the whole point of this, just to sort of dial back a sec, the whole point of all this is that chat and sort of have these open conversations and hopefully start new questions and a few other bits and pieces. And I think that, the next one we're doing, we've hopefully got someone pretty cool lined up. Not 100% confirmed yet, but someone really cool. So hopefully we're going to see their side of their hospitality journey. They've done some incredible things, and are doing something completely different now. They're not pouring pints or making cocktails anymore. Right. So it'll be interesting to see their side of stuff. So we've got a lot of bits to look forward to on that as well. But I think with this sort of podcast we've done today, it's just more catching up what we've been up to, and also like this conversation we're having, it's open up a few questions ourselves, and hopefully if people are watching,
more catharticism for what we've just went through.
And I think a lot of people, hopefully anyway, watching or listening and stuff, can actually throw some questions and stuff like that that they've been thinking, or having the conversation about underpaid managers, or having the conversation about the struggle that bartenders have, and anything else in between, and the future of hospitality as a whole. Pubs, bars, restaurants, where people are now struggling to almost justify going out and things like that. But we'll see. I think that is everything.
Is it?
It is indeed.
Cool.
But thank you again for talking with us. It's been great.
Talking with us.
Yeah, it's just been me and you, isn't it? It's been nice.
Yeah.
And then obviously, hopefully next we'll have someone pretty cool on, all being well. And there should be a full team on as well.
Right.
So hopefully, if we can plan it out. But anyway, thanks for listening.